Trying to get rid of Brent Venables? Not so fast, my friend.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We've discussed the Brent Venables hot seat. It's been a question that's been surrounding and pervading Sooner Nation this week and probably some for much of this season. Well, the powers that be at the University of Oklahoma were at the OU Board of Regents meeting on Tuesday and spoke about Brent Venables' status as the head coach of the University of Oklahoma. Here's what Joseph Harris had to say to the media about his confidence in Brent Venables. It's unwavering right now. We know it's been a tough season. I've been around Oklahoma football for a long time. We have the right coach. This is our coach. We knew it was going to be a tough year going into the SEC the first year. Goes on to say, you add that with all the things that are taking place around the shifting NIL landscape, with hopefully more certainty coming next year if the preliminary approval becomes final in the lawsuit. We knew there was going to be some turbulence. Obviously, we'd love to have more wins, but our confidence in the coach is as steady as it's ever been. Jay, what are your thoughts about what Joseph Harris had to say on Tuesday?
I mean, it makes sense. It kind of goes along the line of the thinking that we expected from the front office here in Oklahoma, that Brent Venables is their guy. And they brought him in to give him the 5 years. And honestly, that may be why Brent Venables felt like he needed to take the slow, methodical, process in building this team, in which fans don't want to hear that. I know. You don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. John doesn't want to hear it. Either one of us want to hear that. But it sounds like that's the truth. They expected there to be some struggles, some bumps in the road, if they were going to allow Brent Venables to build the team he wants to. Now, granted, the players that were supposed to play this year, most of them were hurt, especially on the offensive line. But now we're going to start seeing those 22, 23, and 24 players really hit the field next season. And honestly, at that point, zero excuses. I don't care if somebody gets hurt. You've got 2 deep now. You may have 3 deep. At this point, it's time to go ahead and let the rubber hit the road. So I feel like that's exactly what El Presidente is believing as well, is that you told us what you needed, and we didn't give you everything you needed. Now we're seeing you truly do need this. We still believe in you. You were right. Maybe we were wrong. Time to open up the resource floodgates. At least I hope that's what's happening.
Well, I'll say this. Brent Venables got his offensive coordinator hire wrong.
He did.
At the same time, there was a bunch of other extenuating circumstances on offense that didn't pan out. But he got his offensive coordinator hire wrong. If we go back to 2022 and 2023, you could argue Brent Venables got the offensive coordinator hire right. Was it perfect? No. Did Jeff Lebby fall short in some games as a play caller? Yes. But the offenses in general as a whole were really good. You pair those offenses with the defense that Oklahoma has this year, 8 or 9 win team, I don't think that's unreasonable. And so, listen, he's got to get this next offensive coordinator hire right.
Yes.
Otherwise, whatever else happens, it's not going to matter. But I did think it was interesting what Joseph Harris did discuss about the changing landscape of college football. We're on the verge of having a salary cap for football. And I think this has kind of been the methodical approach that they've taken as NIL has become a part of the sport, is a long view approach. We're not going to jump in with both feet and get ourselves, sinking faster than we can stay afloat when we're all trying to figure out the NIL regulations and how this is all going to play out and how this is all going to work. I think they're also kind of taking that approach with this house settlement that everybody's kind of waiting to be finalized to know exactly how that's going to create and affect their roster building.
Right. You can't just construct the roster. Well, Now you can't. Now, if you could have probably had this roster constructed roughly a few years ago, and one of the main ways was, a la our rival Texas and even Texas A&M, they immediately just started throwing out $50,000 to their offensive linemen. Didn't even have a plan. Just said, hey, we're going to give 50 racks. Every single offensive lineman, in which we know that number has dramatically increased since, but that's what they opened with because they knew they were going to have to do something. And then the bidding wars began. So honestly, for Oklahoma, go ahead and open up the gates. Now, I know we've got money. I know we have it. The problem is I know that we spend it. We try to spend it wisely.
Right.
Mainly because we know that fans are going to complain if we get a high paid player and that player decides to leave because they're not happy because the fans aren't happy with their performance. So you've got to give and take. You got to either accept that you're going to throw money to everybody, and when they suck, oh well, you got them, and you just hope that it works out, or you're very specific about who you give the money to, and then you have a very much higher chance of having a higher hit rate in comparison. Nobody bats 1,000 because, knock on wood, unfortunately, injuries do happen. Attrition does exist, but being smart about how you're doing it. And I do believe that Brent Venables and Oklahoma Sooners are being smart about how they're doing. Dominic Williams is one player we knew we needed, so we made sure that we bid it the best. Same thing with, some recruits that we have. I'm not even going to name the names. I'm just going to tell you. There's a lot of recruits that we know that were looking at big money from a lot of different schools, and they picked us instead. So we did it for the players that we felt like were going to be the most impactful, the earliest. I'll say this too. Kind of like what Coach Prime over at Colorado has said not too long ago. He said that, everybody's asking him questions about him having smaller classes, right? And he's like, I go after the freshmen I get them because I want them to play immediately. If they can, they should be able to play immediately. Not someone to me to get and develop. They should be able to play immediately. And then I go after other dudes to go with them. That's his mentality. Is that if I'm bringing you in, I want you to be able to play now. I don't want you to have to sit. We have a tendency of doing both. We get dudes that are projects that have a very high ceiling, hope they work out. And then we also go after players that are impactful day one. So Oklahoma's got a little plan. We just got to see if it works out.
Yeah. Again, got to get the offensive coordinator hire right. The other part of this,
critical,
and this is a discussion for maybe another day, is that $45 million buyout. You've got to account for that somewhere, right? That's got to be part of the budget. If you're going to fire Brent Venables, you got to be willing to pay that $45 million. And I know that there's discussion out there. There's discussion out there that the boosters are ready to, and trying to figure that out. At the same time, real quick, Jay, I don't want my football program being run by boosters.
Yes. 100%. We do not want to be that other team.
No.
Who has had that problem for the last 20 years.
Yep. Let's get to what Joe Castiglione had to say real quick. Obviously, the season thus far has not gone as we hoped or planned. That's disappointing to a lot of people, including us, even considering the significant challenges for the players and the coaches who have invested so much in the season so far. We're mindful that we haven't met the Oklahoma standard for 2024. That said, we truly believe in Coach Venables and our team. We are completely focused on both supporting them and looking at all the ways to address the needed improvements now as soon as possible, as well in preparation for next year and working with Coach Venables to help in all of that process. At the same time, we want to make sure we're accentuating the strengths that we're seeing developed in our program that are growing and performing at a rate that we also need to be successful in the SEC and beyond. So it's a holistic approach to making sure that we're focusing on all the important initiatives to support Coach Venables and our team. In another place, he also goes on to talk about the extenuating circumstances that have hurt Oklahoma this year, all of the injuries along the offensive line and at wide receiver, the inexperience at quarterback, the staff changes that Oklahoma's gone through, all of those things have impacted Oklahoma's season. I know nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to sit here and, you're just making excuses for why Oklahoma sucks this year. Okay, say that if you want to.
Whoop-de-doo.
There is reasons, right? There is analysis that occurs, and that's part of it. Your offensive coordinator wasn't very good. Your quarterback's not been very good. But would they look a little bit better if your offensive line was healthy and your wide receivers were healthy? Probably.
Yeah,
so
dramatically.
What were your thoughts on what Josie had to say?
No, and Josie's right. You want to take a holistic view because we can be knee-jerk, fire everybody, and then guess what? We're starting from scratch once again. Yep. And you're praying that you get oh, wait, We know next year's schedule. So we can't come out here. Look, everybody keeps talking about what they're doing in Indiana. Man, Kurt Signetti is killing the game. You see his schedule? You see his schedule. They're already questioning his schedule. Mm-hmm. We'll find out when he plays Ohio State this weekend what they're really made of. But you see his schedule? 20-15 versus Michigan. It was a tough game for him. See their schedule? We already know ours for next year. It's the exact same one that we had this year. So what sense does it make to implode everything now to go up against the exact same tough schedule next year? Wait until you get to the 9-game schedule if it shows up in 2 years, in 2 seasons, and then boom. If you feel like you need to let them go after last season, after this next season, then it makes more sense. That's when it makes sense to go ahead and implode things. It doesn't make sense to do that right now because you know what you're playing next year. Oh, don't forget, John, you'll talk about this in a minute, but Michigan's coming to town next year.
And I think we'd be remiss to not discuss the positive steps that Oklahoma's taken under Brent Venables, especially on the defensive side of the ball. As much as the offense has been terrible, the defense has been really, really good this year. And it's actually giving you a chance to win some games that you probably shouldn't have had a chance in. Another reason why Brent Venables is locked in for 2025 and maybe beyond, a lot of prospects are still really, really high on Oklahoma, and Brent Venables was discussed coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Game Time Picks is a great feature that lets you see all of the best tickets available in your area even easier. It filters out all the fluff so you can only see incredible deals on great seats, and so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I'm looking at Game Time right now, and I'm seeing great deals for New Orleans at Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night at the Paycom Center, or tonight rather, at the Paycom Center, Wednesday, 11/13, $2 seats. $2 seats. Great opportunity to go get the kids, get them out downtown Oklahoma City, go watch a game. If you want to go to an Alabama game here in a couple weeks, $112 over at Game Time. So go download the Game Time app. I love that they give you the all-in price where you're not surprised by what the price is going to be at checkout. No surprise fees, no surprise taxes. They give it to you all up front so you know exactly what you're going to be getting when you get to checkout. So go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it?
Game time.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Thanks again to everybody for helping us reach 9,000 subscribers here on Locked On Sooners. Well on our way to 10,000. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do so and tell a friend, tell a family member to tune into Locked On Sooners. We're your team every single day. Recruiting. That has been one of the strongest points of the Brent Venables tenure so far. He's done a really, really good job at that. Locked in several 5-stars across his first couple of recruiting classes in the 2023-2024 cycle. We're seeing a guy like David Stone already start to make an impact. Obviously, the Jackson Arnold 5-star situation maybe isn't working out quite like we'd hoped, but we're still optimistic about PJ Adebaware. Michael Fasusi is going to be coming in 2025. Things are trending in a really, really nice direction on the recruiting trail. If they weren't so dinged up this year, I think things would look a lot better. But Jay, prospects seem to still be locked in with Oklahoma, despite the 5-5 season, despite the failures on the offensive side of the ball, despite some of the unknown at the offensive coordinator position and the quarterback position. We don't know what the future holds there, but everybody's still Oklahoma.
And it's funny when it comes to these recruits, how everybody's belly aching over and over. Oh, every week it's, please don't decommit from us. Please don't leave Oklahoma. Why do we do that? What is the point? Like, if the players are locked in, they're locked in. If they're going to bounce, they're going to bounce. But that's the good thing. We've seen a lot of these players have been committed. So shout out to Parker Thune and Brandon Drum over there at OU Insider. Shout out to Colin Kennedy over there as Sooners Illustrated, as well as Josh McCuistion over there at Sooner Scoop. All of them have had conversations with a lot of the recruits. And here's one quote that Parker had posted on social media from Marcus Wimberly. And this isn't talking about the 2025 class. I think all the guys that are committed right now are going to stay committed. And what a lot of them have been saying is, next year, once we have all these guys back healthy, we're building something special, and that's what the people don't see. These recruits see that there's one or two things going to happen with this one. One, players are going to get healthy, and the team's going to actually be what we expected it to be. Or two, we going to come in here, take those jobs, and we going to make the team good. They're locked in on that capacity. Josh McCuistion over there at Sooner Scoop had talked to Michael Fasusi. They put a video over on YouTube. Go check it out. But the crux of his conversation was Fasusi is like, I'm 100% 10 toes down with Bill Beatonbow, and I'm not going nowhere. You got to sell my family on somebody else before you can get me to leave from Bill Beatonbow. I'm on Bill Beatonbow. My family is. So for them, he knows, his family knows, they're all sold on that. And so Ryan Fogier, every week he's tweeting out, I'm locked in, Boomer Sooner. Yep. And it's like, but John, it's constant. Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? If the recruits going to bounce, they're going to bounce. But what all we've seen is these recruits have kept saying over and over, nah, man, I understand. And a lot of it's bad luck stuff happening. Don't worry, we going to clean that up. We going to fix it. We good.
Yeah, it's the context stuff, right? And I'm sure they're kind of getting some of that messaging from the assistants and from the coaching staff as well. Right. But you have to see it. Like even the most negative Nancy Sooner fan has to understand there's context and there's layers for why this season has gone the way it's gone. Exactly. Obviously, the coaching hire, it didn't pan out. But that doesn't necessarily explain everything, because any team that's been dealing with as many offensive line injuries as it has and the wide receiver injuries that it has, it's going to struggle. What we're seeing this year, though, is I think something that provides a little bit of optimism and hope for these new prospects coming into town. Jaden Jackson, Eli Bowen, true freshmen that have ascended into starting roles for the Oklahoma Sooners. Back in 2022, we wanted them to play the young guys more. Brent Venables was a little bit reluctant. 2023 opened the door a little bit more for more younger guys to get some playing time and find some roles. Well, in 2024, best man wins. Best man gets to play. And Jaden Jackson, Eli Bowen, they ascended into legit starting roles for the Sooners. At one point in time, Jaden Jackson was considered a 3-star prospect. He emerged into a 4-star. Eli Bowen, a lot of places, was considered a 3-star prospect. But they hit the ground running when they got to Norman in the spring of last year and just put their nose in the playbook, in the scheme, and learned it, figured it out. And now we have 2 true freshmen that are going to be cornerstone starters for you moving forward. So there's reason that a lot of these guys can look at that and say, hey, you know what? If I come in the spring of 2025, I hit the ground running, I learn the playbook, I figure out my responsibilities, I take care of my business off the field, I'm going to have a chance to be a contributor in 2025 and maybe help turn this thing around.
You know what a lot of these recruits like is that you're seeing the freshmen play. If they're outperforming the veterans, they're going to actually put them on the field. And for the most part, the big thing is understanding the playbook, understanding where you're supposed to be, understanding your assignments, and boom. They're seeing, they're like, okay, if I get in here in the spring and I learn the book, I can go out there and play too. I can outdo him. Let me go try that. And that's basically what they're seeing. They're seeing the opportunity to play early in the SEC and being able to shine. That is more important than anything else. A lot of these kids don't want to just sit on the bench. They don't want to go to these teams. They don't want to go to, not all of them want to go to a really good team and just sit there and ride, the pine and ride the coattail of somebody else. They want an opportunity to go out there and be impactful early. And if we're showing that if you're impactful enough in practice, you're going to get to play in the games. They're like, all right, so you're practicing what you're preaching. I'm here for it. Sign me up. So I don't have any concerns in the class. I mean, there's certain players out there that's been out there that's like, Cortez Mills, the wide receiver. Nebraska's been calling them like crazy out there in Florida. And there's a chance that they are working hard on him. He's one of Emmett Jones's guys. And so far he told everybody publicly as well as EJ that no, he's locked in. These schools are going to keep trying. The Michael Fasusi's rumors are going to come until signing day. Just get used to it because everybody wants this 5-star tackle because he's one of those players that could probably start day one. He's got that type of talent. Now, Bill Beatonbow's pretty hard when it comes to that. That's why he's so respected in the NFL. But I digress. You're going to hear about it. Get used to it. If you start recruiting top players, you're always going to hear about your players being courted by other schools. Because other schools are going to try to wave as much money as possible to get them because they don't want you to have them.
Right.
I'm cool with that. Like, I don't care that Texas and Texas A&M keep showing up for Fasusi. They're going to keep showing up to his games. They're going to keep calling him. And he's going to be like, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Yeah. And potentially the noise is only going to get louder over the next few weeks.
Oh, yeah. Next 2 weeks is going to be brutal.
And so don't flip. A lot of guys are going to be on quote unquote flip watch, but if they're out there publicly saying that they're good to go with Oklahoma, like it's one thing for some of these things to be like rumors or kind of innuendo that the recruiting analysts are kind of saying, but they're not direct quotes. Like these are direct quotes from players. I feel like you can feel pretty confident in that. You wouldn't put your name behind it unless it was accurate. Now, kids change their mind all the time. High school kids, they make decisions, but we don't see that happen as frequently with Brent Venables prospects as we do with some players for some other teams, some other programs. So listen, it's going to be a good recruiting class. I think it's going to hold together. I'm feeling pretty optimistic and confident about it. And again, a lot of it's going to come down to who's that big offensive coordinator hire that they're going to make and what does the quarterback situation look like moving forward. That's going to be the biggest offseason decision that Oklahoma is going to have to make here in a few weeks. They'll have to hit the ground running. Once the season is finished, you don't have much time to get that figured out before the transfer portal opens up and before signing day as well. One area that Oklahoma is kind of starting to figure out a little bit, that's the offensive line. Where do they go from here with the rest of the season coming up?
Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. So the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need and place your bets on the NFL all in one place. So like for example, Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are -3 right now. I'm definitely looking at that one because the Bucs need a bounce back game. That may be the one. So if you got a hunch, in the middle of the game, during the game, after the game, you want to jump on some action, you can do that. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
So, Jay, the offensive line has been a big point of contention for the Oklahoma Sooners in the 2024 season. It's been riddled with injuries throughout, but it seems like it's starting to kind of hit its stride a little bit as we enter the last few weeks of the season. So as you look at the offensive line now for Alabama, LSU, and then for the future, how are you feeling about where it's at and with Bill Beatonbow at this point?
Even looking at the game against Missouri, that left side looked really pretty solid. Logan Howland and Ohito Zaida, I think they may have solidified themselves as your left tackle and your left guard for the rest of this season. Now it's all about just getting healthy. Sexton's gone. Jake Taylor's most likely gone. Very large percentage chance that he won't play anymore. But it's a great chance for you to get them out there. You may see some more Fabichi Weiwu. I'm expecting Spencer Brown, but it'd be really nice to get some Isaiah Autry-Dent out there, get him some more experience, rotate with Heath Zaida, throw in Eddie Pierre-Louis to continue to shore up that left side, or switch out, put in EPL with Isaiah Autry on the right side and let them play. You want to play around with these configurations the last couple of weeks. I understand these are important games and you need to find a way to get an upset in one of them so that you can try to play in a bowl game. But to me, I'm all about getting experience. So go put the experienced players in there. Give me your Howland and your Ozaida. I need them to get as much experience as possible because next season we don't know what it's going to look like. Troy Everett's, of course, been killing the game, so he's just fine. But give me some EPL with Isaiah Autry-Dent because I think that I think that way we will be fine because he's shown to me some improvement. He's been solid most of the season. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been awful. It's just been like right in the middle, up and down in between good and okay. He's been the dude that's played this entire season, though. He's been your most consistent and your healthiest guy. So you should reward him for that.
Yeah.
But I also want to see some of the young guys get some rotations in so we can get some rest and prepare ourselves. Because we need to start preparing for 25.
Yeah, for the up and down nature that we've seen for the offensive line, yes, having a guy like Fabechi, we will be healthy all season long, man. That's huge. You know, with all of the injuries everywhere else, I mean, has he been the best player you've had? No, but he's played better over the last few weeks, as has the rest of the offensive line. So you're going to continue to play him. He's still going to get a large percentage of the snaps. But as you mentioned, man, you got to get EPL out there. You got to get Isaiah Autry-Dent out there. You've got to start just getting these guys some experience. Get some Eugene Brooks out there. Hey, Daniel Akinkumi got some playing time against Maine. Continue to get him in there. Rotate him a little bit with Logan Howland at left tackle. Rotate EPL with Heath Ozida if you want to, get them some opportunities. I'm cool with that. Give Isaiah Autry-Dent some opportunities over at right tackle. I think he's going to give you something in the future because now it is about experience. You're not having to concern yourself with burning red shirts these final 2 games because you didn't have to play Eddie Pierre-Louis against Missouri. You can play him in these final 2 games and you don't have to worry about it. So you're kind of in a good spot right there with those guys. Play them. Are they going to play, 70 snaps? No. But if you can get them 20 snaps in this game, dude, that's a huge win. And it gives them a lot of opportunity to build on something going into the offseason. If you can get them 20 snaps in both Alabama and LSU, it's just about development now. And the best way to develop is to get playing time. And remember Logan Howland against Ole Miss? Like everybody was ready to write him off as a prospect and a player after that game.
Yeah, we were done. He was kind of cooked after that one, but then guess what?
People were ready to pack up his dorm room and get him into the transfer portal, but then he got better, right? That's what happens. You play, you screw up, you get out there, you go back to the fill room, you get on the practice field, you work on your technical stuff, and you get better. And he's not even a finished product. He's still got a lot of room for improvement, but we're seeing some really positive things out of both him and Heath Ozida. So now's the opportunity to get your young guys in the game for better or for worse. Let them fail, let them make mistakes, and then move forward and just understand that this is going to be a great learning opportunity for a lot of your young offensive linemen, even the wide receivers, man. Listen, Jalil Farouk, you're cool, dude. Sit out the rest of the season. I'm good with you. You tried to come back. You're not quite healthy. That's fine. Let's get Zion Kearney out there with an extended role. Let's get Jacob Jordan out there in an extended role. Let Deion Burks just chill. You don't need to overextend him either, especially with the concussion. There's no reason to put him back out there in harm's way the rest of the season. Just play as many young guys that you feel comfortable playing and get them as many snaps as possible so they can continue to build on what they've done this year, especially a guy like Jacob Jordan. Just start him at slot, play him 100% of the snaps in the slot, and let's see if he can continue to do what he's done already this year.
Exactly. You need to go ahead and just get the experience going. There's nothing wrong with your guys going out there and at this point just making some mistakes. But if anything, we have to try. And to be honest, John, I think that's been the theme of this season for the Oklahoma Sooners, especially with how the offense is going. We just want you to try. Throw the ball. Throw a pick. And it's because you're a wide receiver, whatever. You at least threw the ball. At this point, everybody's like, he threw the ball. That's all that matters. But don't be just awful with it. Make attempts to actually complete passes. That's what we're looking for. If you can give me that, I'm good. You won't hear a complaint from me. I have no argument. I'm satisfied.
Yep.
But we have to do that. If we don't do that, I mean, then what? What am I supposed to? How am I going to work with this? I need you to go out there and actually try. And that's the good thing with the young players. All I got to do is go out there, try hard, play hard, show us what you got. Show us that you're supposed to be on the field. That's the one thing I want some of these dudes to show me. Show me you're supposed to be on the field. And then I can say, look, why? Like Xavier Robinson did it last game. Why have we been playing him more? That's all you've been hearing.
Yep.
There's reasons. But, yes, now we need extra out more. He knows playbook. Go. Boom. Mm-hmm. Put him out there. Play him more. Play Taylor Tatum more, right? Give them the rock. Just let them go. it only makes sense to go ahead and knock it out. Go ahead and give it a try. I don't see a problem with it.
No, lean into your run game. Lean into that. Let's get some more Caden Helms on the field.
Yes.
It honestly can't be worse in the blocking department than Bauer Sharp has been. So, yeah, as many young guys as you can get out there. But I think the offensive line, again, for all the talk about Bill Bedenbaugh and the job that he's done, listen, I know that the first half of the season wasn't great. It just wasn't. You're trying to get a lot of new parts working together, a lot of pieces that hadn't played together, trying to figure all that out. And what it brought us back to was, 3/5 of your offensive line were guys that were here in 2023.
Yep.
And you're developing them. Troy Everett, Heath Ozida, and Logan Howland. So listen, I get the transfer portal is an exciting thing and we want to lean into that, but you're not seeing a lot of offensive linemen have a ton of success coming out of the transfer portal. You're just seeing solid. You're not seeing a lot of great. So can just continue developing your guys, lean into those dudes, build upon what you've seen from them already, and go from there. I mean, there's a lot of talent on this roster that just has to take time to develop. And I'm excited about the future there. And I think the offensive line is going to be just fine down the road. But again, so much of it comes back to making the right offensive coordinator hire and figuring out the quarterback situation. We're going to be harping on that for weeks until we know who the guy is going to be. And we'll have to discuss at some point, maybe during the bye week, we'll discuss the offensive coordinator situation and kind of what we're hearing and what some of the buzz is around some of the names and whether we like them or not. We'll do that. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Check out his show on YouTube at Unfair Sports as well. Follow me at John 9 Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. Follow the show at Locked On Sooners on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Again, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.